I only ordered for family, my mother-in-law said with a smug little smile when my aunt asked why I hadn't been served steak or dessert. Am I family or not? I asked my husband. Don't do this. Not here, he muttered, still chewing, but the table fell silent when I spoke words no one expected. My name is Hannah, and I've been married to Ryan for 7 years. We first met through a mutual friend at a Saturday book club. Back then, I was already working full-time in an accounting office at a supermarket chain, while Ryan was in grad school for public administration. He used to look at me with this quiet admiration and say, "You're incredible. Working full-time while I'm just writing policy memos makes me feel lazy." I smiled, and I thought it meant something. When Ryan finally got a job as a budget analyst for the city clerk's office, we moved into a modest rental outside the city. That's when I met his parents, Vivian and Tom. Vivian wore Chanel perfume and judgment like it was her crown. Tom shook my hand like he expected me to give him spare change. And then there was his sister Lindsay, 2 years older than Ryan, never worked a single day in her life, and proud of it. Vivian's first words to me after a long silent scan were, "Oh, I thought you'd be taller." Tom followed with, "So Hannah, you didn't go to college?" The word didn't drip with pity. I didn't flinch. At 18 I had bills to pay. I made my choices I never regretted until they treated me like I had to constantly justify my existence. For a while Ryan stood up for me. He'd say, "She works harder than anyone I know. My parents can be a little much, but don't take it personally." I didn't at first. I smiled politely when Vivian brought overpriced pastries just for Ryan. I stayed quiet when she sniffed at the store-brand coffee I served. But the snubs piled up. Compliments stopped. Ryan's defenses faded. "She doesn't even manage investments." I overheard Tom whisper after flipping through my pay stub Vivian had somehow gotten her hands on. "I don't know how you manage." "I could never do all that grunt work," Lindsay would say, dripping fake sympathy. Sometimes Vivian snooped through my drawers under the excuse of looking for a napkin. Once she pulled out my bank ledger and shook her head. "So little savings. No portfolio. Ryan, you should have married someone with at least a financial plan." Still, I tried. Every holiday, every birthday, every uncomfortable dinner I showed up. I cooked, I cleaned, I smiled, I poured the drinks. One Christmas, I got a regifted candle while everyone else got tailored gifts with handwritten cards. No one noticed, not even Ryan. By year 6, I began to see my marriage for what it really was. I wasn't a wife. I was the hired help with a marriage license. But still I held on. We didn't have kids, but we had history. Foolish hope made me keep walking into their house with my head held high, even when my heart sank. Last summer, they planned a trip to a lakeside cabin. Vivian told me to pack. "Family getaway," she said. I drove with Ryan to his parents' house only for them to leave without me while I was in the restroom. "Just gone." Ryan later said. "Mom said it should be just family." He said it like it was fact, not cruelty. "But I'm your wife." "Yeah," he muttered. "But you're not blood." The words cut deeper than he knew. Or maybe he knew and just didn't care. Then came the annual family lunch in August, the one where all the extended relatives fly in. That year, by some miracle, my store gave the entire team 3 days off for wellness reform. I should have gone to the beach. Instead, I was drafted into service. Vivian called me the night before. "You'll help with prep. Guests expect a certain standard." Standard meant I was up at 6 a.m. chopping, dusting, vacuuming, wiping fingerprints off wine glasses. While Ryan and his parents sipped espresso on the patio, I ironed linen napkins. Lindsay waltzed in at noon, dropped, "Don't forget the vegan option for Aunt Caroline," and disappeared. By lunch I was wiped. My arms ached. My back throbbed. I hadn't even had coffee. Guests arrived warm and loud. I forced a smile, ushered them to. I kept pouring drinks, topping off glasses, reheating sauces. Ryan didn't lift a finger. When I quietly asked him to carry out the roast, he muttered, "You're doing fine." Finally, when everyone was seated and food was being passed around, I slid into my chair. That's when Vivian stood up. "I have a surprise," she said with a syrupy smile. "Just for family." She disappeared into the kitchen and returned with a tray. On it, 7 perfect filet mignons, rare and glistening. She handed them out one by one to Tom, to Lindsay, to Ryan, to 3 other relatives. And for dessert, she added, lifting a glossy white box, imported French tarts. Just for the family, of course. The room clapped and cheered. Except me. There was no 7th plate.
No dessert.
Just my half-eaten roast chicken sitting cold in front of me. Silence cut through the chatter like a blade. Aunt Sharon, sitting beside me, finally asked, "Vivian, didn't you make one for Hannah?" Vivian looked at me like I was gum stuck to her shoe. "I only ordered for family," she said, light and dismissive. My ears rang. My chest burned. I turned to Ryan. He didn't even look up. He cut into his steak. Aunt Sharon shifted uneasily. "Ryan." I spoke before he could. "Tell me, Ryan, am I family or not?" Still, he didn't look up. He chewed slowly, deliberately, like my question wasn't real. Aunt Sharon leaned in, her brow furrowed. "Ryan, your wife just asked you something." At last, Ryan set his fork down, not startled, just annoyed. "Don't do this, Hannah. Not here. Not in front of everyone." "Oh, I think this is exactly the place," I said. My voice was steady. Though my hands trembled under the table, Vivian gave a sharp laugh. "Honestly, Hannah, this is beneath you. Making a scene over food." "Food," I repeated.
No.
"This isn't about steak or dessert. It's about 7 years of being treated like a tenant in your son's life. Like the outsider you never wanted." Tom scoffed. "No one ever said you weren't welcome." "No," I said. "You just said I wasn't educated. Not polished. Not family material. You said it with every side eye, every backhanded compliment. Every time you dug through my things looking for proof that I wasn't enough." Lindsay snorted. "You're being dramatic." I turned to her. "You've never worked a day in your life. I've carried this marriage financially for nearly a year, while your brother lies about going to work every morning. So yes, I've earned the right to be dramatic." Ryan's head snapped up. "Hannah, shut up." "Or what?" I shot back. "You'll lose your precious image? Hate to break it to you, but everyone's about to find out you haven't had a job since last fall." All eyes turned to him. Vivian blinked. "What is she talking about?" Ryan stammered, searching for words, but nothing came. That I leaned forward. He was fired from the city clerk's office after a massive tax error. Hundreds of residents got the wrong invoices, some underbilled by thousands. Ryan was in charge of final reviews. "He didn't tell you because you were too busy judging my coffee." "That's not true," Ryan said quickly, but even he looked unconvinced. That I didn't stop. "Since then I've paid every bill. Every grocery run. Rent. Utilities. Car repairs." While he sat on his laptop pretending to job hunt, applying for positions he wasn't even qualified for. A heavy silence spread like oil over water. Aunt Sharon looked down at her plate, then back up. "Ryan, is this true?" Ryan shot to his feet. "This is insane. You're trying to humiliate me." "No, Ryan," I said. "You humiliated yourself the second you let your mother deny me a plate like I'm the help." Vivian slammed her glass onto the table. "You don't talk to my son like that. And you don't talk to me like I'm disposable." I shot back. That I reached into my bag and pulled out a thin manila folder. It made a soft thwack when I set it in front of Ryan. "What's this?" he asked. "Draft separation papers," I said evenly. "I already spoke with an attorney. I'm not waiting for your permission." The room froze. Even Lindsay stopped mid-bite. "You're overreacting," Tom said finally. "Am I?" I turned to him. "You think I didn't notice the size every time I walked in? The way you looked at my hands like you were checking for dirt." "You'll never fit in," Lindsay snapped. "You never had class, Hannah." I smiled thinly. "And yet, I'm the only one here who knows how to pay a mortgage." Vivian shot up from her chair. "You think that makes you superior? You're a cashier's clerk." "Accounting officer," I corrected. "At a chain that just promoted me to regional finance coordinator. And unlike your son, I actually read documents before I signed them." Ryan shoved the folder back toward me. "You're not doing this." "Oh, I am." His voice cracked. "You're really going to throw away our marriage over one lunch?" "No," I said quietly. I'm leaving because for 7 years, I've been treated like a stranger in my own life. Because you let them grind me down until I forgot I had options. He just stared at me like he didn't recognize me anymore. Maybe he didn't. I turned to Aunt Sharon. I'm sorry you had to see this. She placed her napkin down gently. Don't apologize, dear. You've shown more grace than most would. And you, she turned to Vivian, should be ashamed. You humiliated your daughter-in-law in front of the entire family. She's not my daughter-in-law anymore, Vivian snapped. I nodded. And you'll never have the chance again. Ryan's voice dropped to a whisper. You really mean it? You're leaving me. I didn't answer. I just stood, grabbed my purse from the hook by the door, and returned to the dining room. I'll be sending official papers this week, I said. Vivian folded her arms. Don't expect sympathy from anyone. Aunt Sharon stood. Actually, Vivian, I think you'll find the family feels otherwise. Vivian blinked. What do you mean? I mean, we're tired of the belittling, the cruelty you call tradition. I won't be at your Christmas brunch this year. You can't be serious. Sharon looked around. A few cousins nodded. I am. I turned to leave. Ryan tried one last time. Hannah, don't do this, please. I paused at the doorway. You had 7 years to treat me like family. You chose silence. Then I walked out. The walk to my car was the quietest 10 seconds of my life. No shouting. No footsteps chasing me. No last-minute apology. Just the click of my heels and the rush of August heat off the driveway. I didn't cry. I didn't even look back. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I'd already texted my lawyer to move forward. The folder was real. The conversations were real. I just hadn't expected to use them so soon. But I didn't need to wait anymore. The final straw hadn't been the stake. It had been silence. Ryan's silence. That week was a blur of paperwork and iced coffee. I moved into the guest room and kept my distance. Ryan kept insisting it was just a fight. People divorce over cheating, not lunch, he said. You're being theatrical. But something in him knew. He stopped going out, stopped pretending to job hunt. He just sat there. Meanwhile, I stayed busy. I accepted the promotion from my company's main office, regional finance coordinator, full salary bump, flexible work from home options. I'd be relocating in 3 months. I didn't tell Ryan. Why would I? What I did tell him was the court date. Mediation was scheduled for September 9th. I filed no fault, but under the surface there was plenty of fault. 3 days before the hearing, Aunt Sharon called. I just wanted you to know, she said. You weren't the only one who saw it. What they did to you at that lunch, that was a reckoning. Apparently word had spread fast. The cousins and in-laws who'd sat through that meal were furious after I left. Some confronted Vivian directly, others just walked out. Sharon told me what she said to the rest of the family. You don't starve someone and call it hospitality. The fallout was swift. Vivian and Tom were quietly uninvited from 2 weddings. Lindsay, who once bragged that everyone wanted her at events, suddenly wasn't on any guest lists. Reputation, it turned out, wasn't immunity. And Ryan, he was unraveling. One night I came home to find him drinking on the couch, eyes glazed. This is what you wanted, right? He slurred. Burn it all down. No, I said softly. I just stopped pretending the ashes were flowers. The day of mediation, he wore a suit that was too tight and couldn't look at me. I wore navy blue, hair pinned back, and brought every receipt, transfer, and statement from the year he was unemployed. My lawyer barely had to speak. The numbers told the story to the end. Ryan looked at me like he wanted to say something real. Instead, he muttered, I can't believe you're doing this to me. I stood. No, Ryan. I can't believe you did this to me. When the divorce was finalized, I didn't celebrate. I went home, ordered Indian takeout, and slept 12 hours straight. The silence, it felt different now. Not empty. Earned. Weeks passed. Vivian tried damage control. She sent a vague apology email full of phrases like I'm sorry if you were hurt, and we've all said things we didn't mean. That I didn't reply. I archived it. Instead, I moved forward. The promotion relocated me 2 states over into a bright apartment with a south-facing balcony and a dishwasher that didn't rattle. My coworkers sent welcome baskets. My new manager said, "We've heard nothing but great things." For the first time in years, I was recognized for who I was, not who I wasn't. Then one night in late October, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. It was Ryan. His voice was quiet. "I just wanted to say, I miss you. I think we got lost. I should have stood up that day. Should have said something. I was scared." "Of who?" I asked. He hesitated. "My mother. Of everything. I've been thinking about coming to see you," he added. "Talk face to face." I looked out at my new skyline. "No need," I said. Everything I needed to hear, I heard in that dining room. He didn't argue. Just let it hang. "I'm not angry anymore, Ryan," I added. "I just don't belong to that life. And it doesn't belong to me." He exhaled. "So that's it. That's it." I hung up. And I stood in the middle of my kitchen for a while just listening. No shouting. No footsteps. No sighs or sharp remarks. Just me, my apartment, and a basil plant that desperately needed watering. Some things cut you open without a word, and some silences heal.